Yeah, hi. Good to see everybody again. And we're excited about to have our last practice, and then we're heading out to the our first round of regionals, and looking forward to hopefully talking to you guys next week about our trip to Dallas. All right, what do you guys got
Kennedy.
for us today?
What have you guys thought about the way that your guys' prep has gone for regionals, and what have you thought about the energy that your team has brought so far?
Yeah, it's been good. I think we're just we gave them a little bit of a break at the beginning of right when we got back from SEC championships since we had a bye weekend. We took a little couple of days and just got a little rest, got a little recovery right there. And so I think you get to this point in the year and everybody's excited to get to the postseason. And I think you're just sometimes you're just trying to get the practices and do what you need to do because you're ready to go, right? And that bye week sometimes is actually tough. It's good for rest, but you really get into a rhythm and you just want to go. And so we kind of had to just slow things down a little bit so we could speed them back up. But energy's been good and practice has been good, and we're excited about what we got coming up.
Kennedy, as someone who's never done this before, obviously, how do you prepare for this? And do you look at coaches or teammates or what do you do for that?
Yeah, I really kind of look up to the upperclassmen and kind of ask them for any advice on how to keep my body healthy and make sure I'm maintaining school and gymnastics. And then also just asking them like how to act like at the meets and how to prepare and kind of how to stay focused on our team so that we can do the best and making sure that we're preparing and kind of focusing on all the details. But last week was definitely, or SEC's week was a lot of fun and it was really cool to be there, especially being freshmen and being able to get into that lineup. So I feel like with that experience, that will really help in the future years and to help with regionals and nationals.
Yeah. For a lot of our incoming freshmen or newcomers, I mean, really the high school system and the the kind of developmental program system where they come from, it's set up very similarly. So they really kind of prepared for this a lot during high school. It's different because it's at the collegiate level, but the preparation is pretty much the same, and the importance of it is very similar too. So that's the great thing, especially for young ladies that have been very successful in their pre-college careers, like Kennedy and some of the other ones.
So I wanted to ask about where you guys are starting on Friday and how that was decided.
Yeah, so they do with regionals, they'll do they do a blind draw before the season even gets started. So really basically it's, they'll say, hey, the highest NQS in this session gets this event, right? And they just match them up right there. And so we're starting on floor. So it's just the assigned it was just because we were the number two highest team in our session, right? I think number one is, who is it, Florida or Utah? Florida. I don't even know who's in our session. It doesn't even matter. But so Florida, it was the number one team in our session in that the first day for us, and we were the number two team. So the number two team got floor, and so, anyways, that's where we'll start, and then we will get most likely a different starting event in the regional final round. So,
With floor being one of your guys' most successful events so far, just how important do you think it's going to be to get off to a hot start at regionals and to push through the rest of the rotations?
yeah, well, I mean, just like SECs, we felt like it was a really important for us to get off to a strong start on bars. So this really is no different. I mean, I think it's going to be, at this point, you have to get off to a pretty solid start regardless of the event. But I do think we can capitalize on floor being one of our, a very steady, solid event for us. And really, we talked about setting the tone with that event, and we feel like we can go out and and do a great job there and really set the bar for not only our competition but for other teams that have to go to floor after us, because we do feel like we are one of the best teams, if not the best team, at that regional on that event.
Shannon, does anything change at regionals in terms of how you approach it? Is scoring different? Do you feel like is the momentum different? What do you tell your athletes about the feel of regionals?
No, I mean, if we've done it right, Ben, I mean, if we've prepared correctly and we've been doing the right things, there's very little we have to change moving at this point, quite honestly. It's really just hammering home just some of those little details and just little things like, hey, remember, let's make sure. But we're doing that throughout weeks of practice. on there. Really, again, if we're doing it right and they're doing the training that they need to do, it really should be very little in the change, you know. I mean, SEC championships was a much more high pressure event, quite honestly, than you know, what we're going to see, at least in that day one. Now, day two of regionals, or the last day, certainly those are all potentially going to be great teams in there, and we're all going to have a good day. It doesn't matter who comes out of there. It doesn't matter if you're the 1 seed or the 2 seed. You're going to have to be really good on that day, which we certainly have that capability of doing. So preparation wise, we've been doing it. We're ready. And I think, you know, if we could compete today, we would do it. So.
Well, and for both of you, how much does having that bar of the SEC for the last 4 or 5 months of your season, how well does that prepare you for now the national level?
You go.
I feel like it's prepared us very well. I feel like SECs was a really good meet for us. We were able to kind of put all 4 events together pretty well. And so just kind of keeping that momentum going into regionals and kind of knowing we have the capabilities to be one of the best teams in the nation, and just using that to kind of fuel us for regionals and making it to nationals.
So yeah, you mentioned how you don't expect much to change from regionals. I know there's sometimes 1 or 2 people will change in terms of your lineups and everything. Do you expect, you know, your SEC lineups to be pretty much copy and paste, or maybe a change or 2 there?
No, I mean, well, I think they're gonna be very similar, and they may be the same on some events. You know, we're just putting in the best personnel on that day. You know, quite honestly, Kennedy wasn't even slated to be in our vault lineup until we got out for competition. And then, but the way I watched her warm up and and I thought she warmed up really well, and then we plugged her right in, and obviously she did a great job. So, you know, that's just an example of, you know, you got to make game time decisions sometimes and on there. So, yeah, I think the intent is to keep them pretty similar as we're moving forward. But, you know, the nice thing about our team is that we've got we have options, and we're deep enough in areas that, you know, look, we can pop somebody out and pop somebody in, and it can work, right? And so that's the best position, honestly, to be in, is to have the opportunity to put the best person in at that moment. And, you know, seeing as there's a very good chance we're going to have 2 days of competition within 3 days. We need to have those that depth in order to, you know, put the best person in, because, you know, if somebody's tired or somebody's a little off, and, you know, which very well could happen in a 3 day span, you know, we need to be able to plug and play and do those things. So sorry, that was a long answer to a short question, but I do think it'll be similar in some events, but we may pop some people in and pop some people out. You know, bars, we had Holland was out of the bar lineup last at SECs, but her back was bugging her a little bit. Now she's feeling better, so she very well may be back in. So, you know, I wish it was as easy as that, but it's not all the time. So, but we're fortunate to have very talented people and have some depth. So, we'll probably have a little better idea at the end of today's practice on what we intend to do. And then, you know, we'll just make whatever adjustments we need to once the warm up start and there. But I think we typically will know at the end of the warm up, and, you know, in there, and have a better idea. So.
Yeah, so you talked about how you could have 2 meets in 3 days, and how do you prepare for that? Obviously, because that's not happened at all this season.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just making sure, like, when we're actually there after the first meet, prioritizing like sleep, rest, recovery, eat, making sure if you have any like ailments, you're getting those kind of taken care of. But as for like practicing and during the week, just making sure you're kind of keeping that same mindset. We've had a few practices where we have like a practice and then an off day and then a practice. So kind of trying to treat that like that's the meet situation, and kind of how you're going to rest your body the day before, but still kind of staying active, so that when you come in for the next practice or the next meet, you're not super stiff or anything like that.
And again, our preparation, we've had a hard day, a light day, and then a hard day. And so we've really kind of prepared for that as we've approached this right here. And so, you know, honestly, meet days are almost easier than some of our practice days, quite honestly. And we do that intentionally. So they are challenging and they are tough, so that when we get to a meet, you know, with some adrenaline and some excitement, it really is not too bad. The other nice thing is we travel with a masseuse, which is nice, which I'm sure all you guys do as well. So, so we'll get some massages on our off day and just some rest and recovery. And, but you know, they're competitors and they're excited. And, you know, when all of a sudden those aches and pains, they don't ache and pain anymore if you're in a regional final competing for a spot to go to NCAAs.
Shannon, what's going to be the actual rotation order? I know you said you're starting on floor, but what is it after that?
So it'll go just Olympic order, right? So we'll go from floor and then we'll pop back to vault. So we'll go floor, vault, bars, beam.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about Grace Ann's beam routine from SECs. Obviously, it looked like a great routine, but then it didn't get the score probably expecting, and I'm assuming they didn't give her, her start value fully. So is that something you guys plan on changing any aspects of the routine or just kind of keeping it the same?
Yeah, she had a little bit of a kind of a sore hip flexor, and so we changed her what we call her jump series. And she just had a little bit of a pause or a little bit of a break right there. And so you're right, it did affect her start value. She actually scored really well with the start value that they had her at, but so I think the plan is now that her hip flexor is feeling a little bit, it's feeling better. I think we're going to go back to her original jump series, and then so that should hopefully alleviate that issue moving forward right there. But yeah, we're just trying to keep, those hip flexors, if you don't give them a day or two to kind of calm down, they start to linger, and then we're in an even worse spot moving forward. So even though that wasn't the best routine she could do, it did give us the opportunity to rest that muscle in her hip. And so now I think we're in a better spot moving into this weekend.
Shannon,
Obviously, you haven't played against Clemson or Iowa State yet this year. What do you think of those two teams?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's exciting that they're there. I think they haven't made regionals, and I think in the last couple of years, well, obviously Clemson hasn't, and so it's great for them. Again, I've just seen a little bit of their stuff on social media. I'm probably the worst person to ask. I really do not pay attention to any other teams. That Kennedy probably knows better than I do. But I think I think it's exciting for them to be at a regional, their first regional or back to regionals, and so that's awesome. They're competing tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, in that play-in round. So yeah, we haven't seen them. Again, I think if Missouri does what Missouri is supposed to do and we take care of us, then which is exactly how we approached SECs, then we'll be in good shape right there.
Shannon, you talked about one of the things that you feel like makes this team unique compared to teams of the past is the depth that you have in all of your lineups. Just how advantageous is it to have that kind of depth whenever you're going into something like nationals?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I mean, I think it number one, it helps create a healthy competitiveness within our team, right? That's a good thing, right? So, I think everybody wants the coaches to put up the best lineup, right? Whether, they all want to be in it, but they want the best lineup out there. So that the healthy competition is one of the best things of having that depth that we're talking about, and two, you to have everybody at their best on the exact same day can be challenging, but if we've got options, we can make sure we're putting together the best combination right there. And then I think also, listen, somebody's going to have a pulled hip flexor or not feeling their best. So for their teammates to know that, hey, look, we're not 100% reliant on just these 6 young ladies to go, right? We've got 7, we have 8 people that can go. I think that's reassuring and really builds some trust and doesn't put anybody in panic mode just in case somebody's not feeling great, because we do have other options.
Kennedy, can you describe a little bit what it was like for you being a freshman to be at the SEC meet and just kind of like what it was like for you?
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really nice to kind of just take a moment to take it all in and kind of just experience everything. But it was really cool just to kind of be with the team, focus on Mizzou gymnastics, and especially we were doing really well. It was just awesome to kind of be there and feel that energy and the momentum. And I think it was an awesome meet.
Yeah, really cool, right? All SEC, all freshman SEC, right? Highest vault score, highest beam score at one of the biggest competitions of the year. I mean, I think that speaks kudos to Kennedy here in her preparation and just her level work and just belief in her team. I think that was really cool for her.
Kennedy, how much confidence does that give you going into nationals after the great performance that you had at the SEC championships?
I think gives me like a lot of confidence to know that I'm able to perform under pressure and at that high level. And it also really helps that my coaches and teammates trust to put me in the lineup, especially because not until like the back half of the season, I wasn't like in the beam lineup until the back half of the season. So really knowing that the coaches and my teammates trust me to kind of go up and with a little bit less experience than maybe some of the other lineup people to go up and hit a good routine. So I feel like that really helps kind of build my confidence. And then also knowing that I'm able to kind of go up under that pressure and perform how I've been practicing.
So what are kind of some things that you're still working on progressing in as you prepare for this weekend?
Yeah, so I can go for each event. So specifically for vault, it's kind of making sure I'm cleaning up the form. So like my legs together from the board to the table and really kind of nailing down the landing a little bit more consistently. And then for beam, it's working on my dismount, working on consistently sticking with good leg form. And then for floor, it's mainly my landings and then just cleaning up my jump series a little bit more. It's really all those kind of fine details. We know that we can do the big skills, we can compete the skills, we can hit the skills, but now it's more just really cleaning up all the fine details to really get those half tenths back.
Yeah, what she said. That was good. That was good stuff. I don't even have to coach her today. This is awesome. Cool. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate and ladies. Thank you for your time, and we're looking forward to catching up with you guys soon. And should be an exciting weekend. I think we're Friday at 7. Is that Eastern? Eastern. So, and then the regional final is, I believe, 5 o'clock Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern as well. So I think those are all online, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they're being broadcast live. Other than the online platform. So it should be good, but it's some exciting stuff. And I'm excited for these young ladies to get going. And, you know, the postseason is always a fun, that's what we worked all year to, is to get to this point and show what we can do. So thank you guys, and have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week. All right.